Well, when I first thought of the Genius Hour project, I thought it was more towards what the students are going to learn and a passion that you're passionate about as a teacher, but realizing the actual project, I still continued to go with wildlife management and actually the impacts of hunting because my passion is being outdoors and being able to um, hunt and fish and hike and do all that stuff in Montana. So it's kind of my passion. I guess my question was why is wildlife management important? And kind of underneath that is why should hunting be allowed? Going through, I learned a lot about the controversy issue on the other side of things, and it kind of gives a good look into how other people feel. So with the history, I guess, of wildlife management, the United States was kind of built on it because it was the common man that could hunt wildlife before Crusaders came over. It was more regulated that only the wealthy people were able to actually hunt the wildlife in the area. But now in the United States coming over, there was such an abundance of wildlife and a need to feed people that even the common man could go out and hunt. It was also part of the everyday lives as the civilians headed west to look for gold or new land because they needed to feed themselves and their families, and the easy access to wildlife was how they did that. Wildlife management actually started in the 19th century due to the cause of the declining species or extinction of some because of uncontrolled harvest, commercial harvest, or bounties on these wildlife. Further research kind of showed that there's a traditional side for people that kind of believed wildlife were there to benefit them, kind of like the first people that came over the seas. Wildlife was such an abundant piece that it was something that they could benefit from. And now there is a movement to see wildlife and humans connect socially in a community, and so that animals basically are wasted when harvested. They want to see the animals have rights, the wildlife have rights. And that's kind of why we have wildlife management agencies out there. Here in Montana, it's Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks. Each state actually manages their own wildlife, and the only wildlife that is managed under the direct control of the government is migratory birds or endangered species. And this is due to the fact that migratory birds move so much that the government wants to have control to be able to talk to other countries that the birds migrate to and make sure that their management there as well as they're managed here in the United States. As well, each state management agencies are self-sufficient due to the fact that there's a hunting and fishing licensing fees, hunting tag fees, and federal excise taxes on sporting equipment. They also get money from that. The impacts in Montana, hunters last year or in 2016 spent $324 million. That's just hunters that were hunting deer, elk, and antelope, and they created that much, and the revenue from that supports over 3,300 jobs. So it's pretty important in Montana to keep also the wildlife management agencies open and able to manage the wildlife, as well as to have hunting and fishing and recreation in Montana because of how much money it brings in. A quote from Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks website was, "From the welcome hunter banners hanging on the front in local taverns, gas stations, and restaurants, and the no vacancy signs at local motels, big game hunters, both resident and non-residents, are key to Montana's economy." And I truly believe that is true because of just the fact of how much it brings in and how many jobs it creates. So some big game hunting related expenditures include transportation, whether it's gas, rental car, airfare, However, they transport themselves to an area to hunt, as well as the food, the beverages, and the lodging. That all comes into play. The equipment purchases for the trips, whether it's guide fees or other miscellaneous expenses like backpacks, their rifles, shotguns, and any other expenses as well. So all that stuff adds up, and that's not included in the $324 million that's created there. I further went into the ethics of hunting, kind of to learn a little more about what the controversy side thinks, as well as what the hunters think, and they're basically on the same page. Hunting isn't ethical when it contributes to the conservation, feeds humans with less environmental impacts or animal deaths than farming vegetables or grains, and helps limit the commodification of nature. And it also went on to one big aspect is hunters should attempt for a quick and clean kill every time when they proceed to harvest an animal, and hunters should obey the law, be safe and protecting of the habitat, be humane, and conduct fair chase. And so all those on both sides, they want hunters to strive for, and it's important. So what I learned a lot about wildlife management is that I think we as a country have come a long way, as well as the fact that there's this new movement that wildlife needs to have more management and stricter laws, which I think is true to have, but taking away hunting or fishing is not going to help provide better management for the wildlife. It'll take away from it because of the fact that it'll take jobs away, it'll take revenue away. That here, at least in Montana, the Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks strive so much to produce a recreational area in Montana where people can go out and enjoy the habitat and be able to obey the law and be safe and protect the habitat, as well as be humane and conduct fair chase if they are hunting or fishing. Thank you.